call the meeting to order?
You could. I call this meeting to order.
We have no minutes for adoption. I will have those on the next council agenda. The next item of business is our public comment section. We have a number of speakers, so I would ask the speakers be limited to less than 2 minutes for their presentation. And I think I have somebody else who wants to be added to the list of speakers here. Our first speaker is James Glade. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Glade. I would ask council to first approve the agenda for this morning's meeting. And the recommendation is that council approve the agenda for the January 9th, 2012 special council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor? And the motion carries.
And now we move to public comment, and Mr. James Glade, first speaker.
Thank you. Good morning, I would like to offer a brief statement of support for the BC Federal Smart Meter Program this morning. I'm passionate about energy efficiency, and I support innovations that show strong potential to promote conservation, reduce waste, and use our shared resources more efficiently. I wholeheartedly support the smart meter projects. In fact, I have a sign on the fence in front of my house to welcome the crew when they arrive to change the meter. I expect smart meters will reduce power consumption and ultimately lessen the need for new power generation stations and the social and ecological impacts they present. When I one day choose to generate clean electricity on my property, my smart meter will make it easier for me to provide that energy back into the grid. When I one day have an electric vehicle, and if I'm not using that vehicle sitting in my driveway and the battery has power and not heating, my smart meter will one day allow me to share that back to the utility so that it can be used to help charge my neighbor's car. My smart meter will make it possible to add a power use display to my kitchen wall, so I'll be able to see in real time how much power my home is using and make better decisions to use less of it. I will become much more aware of my usage rather than receiving a bill every 2 months. Thanks to my smart meter, if I'm in the city, I will one day get a text message telling me the power is out at home and the crews are on the way to restore it. As for concerns and the petition that I understand will be shared this morning, I want to just say I respect the people with their concerns and I defend their right to bring them forward and the process that allows them to speak. That said, there is no peer-reviewed scientific evidence that radio frequency exposure of mobile phone use, which is an order of magnitude more exposure than the signal emitted by a smart meter, which is active less than 1 minute a day, creates the kind of radiation that presents a health risk. Wi-Fi is essentially radio. No matter how powerful a radio transmitter, whether a microwave tower like those on the Gardner, or an active radar like those on board the Queen of Capilano, radio waves simply cannot produce ionizing radiation like the kind created by X-rays, the kind that presents health risks.
Mr. Glade, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes. If
Okay,
you just
thank
wrap
you.
up, please.
Thank you for listening.
We have Ron Neeson.
Yeah. I'm here presenting a group that is actually opposing the smart meter. The sense of urgency, since in 3 weeks they are scheduled to start being installed on Bowen. There's reports also of threats and intimidation from BC to cut off power supply for families that will not agree to install it. There are many concerns, serious concerns: health, cost, safety, privacy, democracy, energy conservation that will not happen according to BC Hydro, and misleading information from BC Hydro. Thinking about health, there's hundreds of scientific peer-reviewed studies that show the bad influence of RF and EMF. World Health Organization recognized it in the same classification like HIV. Canada Health called for children not to get closer to cell phones, especially children and actually all people. We have on Bowen many kids, many seniors. People will be influenced, pregnant people, people sick with MS, Parkinson's disease, pacemakers. No one knows what's going to be the consequences. The rate of radio frequency exposure is much higher than BC Hydro claims. In some movie trailer that I saw, the exposure is 198,000. And the limit that is exposure, the limit of Canada Health is 1,000 microwatts per square meter. And BC Hydro claims, though, that it's 23,000. No one knows what's going to be the cumulative effect when you have several of them in the same place. Especially in rural areas, the power towers will be sending much stronger signals, and also each meter will be a device that will be transferring from one house to another the information. So the spikes will be ongoing every day. They claim that it's going to be 3 times a day or 1 per minute, many claims, but it's an experiment, and all of us, including our children, are the guinea pigs.
Mr. Neeson, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes is up. Kat Haydock?
Yes, I just wanted to speak about the decision to hold the meetings in the mornings on Mondays. I volunteered to come in and videotape the meetings, and I believe this service is even more important now that the meetings are held during business time, but it'll be extremely difficult for me to get here. Monday mornings are a really important time for businesses getting organized for the week, and that's when the phone starts ringing and everything. So I would like you to consider going back to evening meetings at least half the time, and maybe determine which works better for the community. Thank you.
How are you for afternoon meetings?
It's the same thing. Business
Same
hours are business hours. I mean, even though we work on Bowen most of the time, you know, business time is business time, and it's difficult to take that time.
Yeah, Councillor Stone and I are currently working on a proposal to bring forward to council for a cost-effective way of videotaping meetings, just for everybody's information. Okay, our next speaker is Bernie Green.
Hi, I voted for this council, so I would like to ask a favour of you all. I would like, you know many, many more people than I do. I know about 10 people here alone. So I'd like to ask you to go out and discuss with all of the people that you know, or through your computer or whatever, this issue, because I think it's so important. It's just unbelievably important for our health and for many other factors. The government are forcing this upon us. We don't have a choice. We can't say no to this thing. And for me, that is ridiculous, that I can't say no to something that's going on my personal property, which I bought, I pay the taxes on, yet I can't say no to. I think it's ridiculous. Also, if it's not broken, why are we fixing it? The analog has worked for 50 years without many problems, so why are we changing? Because it's not for our good that we're changing. For me, the worry is the radiation. It's 24/7, we can't stop it, it's ongoing. And if we take the word of hydro that it's not going to pulse, it's only going to pulse 2 times a day, actually that's inaccurate, because they've proved in other areas that it pulses a lot more. I've forgotten how many, but many, many times more. So they're inaccurate. And do we also want to take their word for the testing? Is it like how they tested for the biogenetic food? What happened with the biogenetic food? Our government took the testing of Monsanto. They said, oh yeah, that's fine, the food is great. So now we have food that we're eating that's biogenetic and never been tested by other people, like, you know, proper, separate. Sorry, I'm so nervous. I've never spoken in front of people. I've spoken once, and I said I would never do it again. So here I am. So I think it's crazy that we take Heidel's word for it, that it doesn't pulse and it's not, the radiation's not going to help. Thank you.
Mrs. Green, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I just want to mention about the cost. Not the billion, but the cost of the bills. The bills are going to be much, much, much higher. It's been proven in California. Sorry to take so much time.
Thank you. Anne Frank de Ferrier.
Your Worship and Councillors, I left the municipal...
For the purpose of public, our next person is, I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty, Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Hi, thank you, Council. I actually didn't know I was signing up to speak when I signed that paper. So I'm not quite prepared to speak, but I've written a bunch of letters. And essentially, I just want to say that I consider myself a very hardcore environmentalist. I've dedicated my life and my family's savings to building a new type of building on Bowen Island. We pioneered a new type of building here, so I consider myself a very environmentalist. The smart meter program, when I heard about it, I was 50-50. I said, well, it might be good. I did some research. The letter's coming out in the undercurrent this week, and I've got a fully referenced letter showing that I believe now it's one of the stupidest, craziest things, on par with the fast ferries, with some of the other scandals that we've seen in the past. So, so essentially, just continuing on. The BC Hydro, when they implemented the smart meter program, they bypassed the BC Utilities Commission. In California and other states where they've put in the smart meters, they're actually taking them out at a huge cost. And now the California Utilities Commission has actually given a very strongly worded statement that people should not have to be forced to accept these smart meters. BC Hydro is doing that. We're looking at rate hikes. There's thousands of people showing up in California complaining about electrical bills going up. So basically we have no democracy, no transparency. Energy conservation I'm big on, but that has not been proven. And my biggest question, which I'm waiting to get an answer for from Hydro, is how over 20-year lifespan of the meters, how does $1 billion get paid back with interest on that? So that's money coming out of our pockets. Never mind all the health concerns that have come out. So what we're asking for, and we're, as a group, we're a large organized group, and we're requesting that the council produce a public letter to BC Hydro and the Energy Minister, along with, in conjunction with 29 other municipalities, stating that we, as a municipality, do not support the smart meter program. And we'd like an unofficial comment from the municipality that just saying that we do not agree with it. And
I'm sorry, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. And thank you for your consideration.
If you have letters, you can submit it to me, and I'll make sure they get to council. Okay. And our next speaker is David Rich.
I would just like to thank all our council members for running, and thank you for the work you're about to continue with. I would like also to say that in the last couple of months, I have heard only good things about the potential you people are promising, and everybody seems very enthusiastic about the things you're taking on so quickly. And I just want to thank you very much, and if anything I can do to help you, I would appreciate it. I would be willing to do it. Thank you very much for running, and congratulations.
And our last speaker is Fitch King.
I understand that the LNG proposal from BC Ferries is on today's agenda. I'd like to urge council to invite or request BC Ferries to come to the island today, do a presentation and take questions on the LNG system. My concern is consistency of service. It's a brand new technology on the west coast of North America, and BC Ferries has a history of technology introduction difficulties, including propulsion system on the current big ferries, and I think it bears scrutiny by public. It's a link we depend on to get to the mainland for commuters, and breakdowns in brand new technology could affect service knowledge.
And that's it for our public speakers.